this final session of Mathematical Literacy Paper 1 revision. This lesson is brought to you by the Gauteng Department of Education in collaboration with the Saibono Discovery Center. My name is Nikki Wezulu and I'm going to be your presenter for today. Today, like I said, that it is the final revision for paper 1. We are giving it one more try. Remember, you are writing your prelims in August, September, and the main purpose of the prelims was to prepare you for this final paper, the big paper that we are sitting for tomorrow, which is your mathematical literacy paper 1. So this is how your paper is going to be structured. It is a mathematical literacy question paper. Make sure your question paper is written mathematical literacy, not mathematics. And it is a paper 1 question paper that is out of 150 marks, and it has a duration of 3 hours. So from this question paper, you can expect 4 or 5 questions. And these are the topics that will be covered for paper 1. So as you are doing your final preparations, these are the only topics that you must prepare for tomorrow. The first topic, it is your finance. You must prepare your data handling. You must also prepare your probability. But you must also expect to see your growth charts, because growth charts can also be examined under paper 1. Finance is the biggest section in your paper 1 because it carries 90 marks. And then you have your data handling that carries 53 marks. And then lastly, your probability will be out of 7 marks. And then this is how your questions will be structured. The first question, which is your question 1, that is your easiest question. So tomorrow, 9 o'clock, when they say you may start writing, you must start with your question 1 because that is your easy questions. That is where you will find your knowledge questions from finance and data handling. By knowledge questions, I mean that those are the questions that you don't even have to think about an answer. It's either you know the answer or you don't. Example, they can give you a graph and they can ask you to identify the type of graph that is given. So it's either you know that it is a bar graph or it is a histogram or it is a line graph. It is not something that you must be thinking about. They can give you a set of data that is showing the pass percentages of different schools over the years. And then they can ask, is the type of data numerical or categorical? Because it is in numbers, then you know that it is numerical. So those are the questions that you must expect. You don't have any long steps in question 1. Examples of level 1 finance questions, they can ask you, what does the acronym VAT stand for? It's either you know or you don't. They can ask you, what percentage is VAT calculated? It's either you know or you don't. So those are the type of questions that you must expect from question 1, and it's about 30 marks of those types of questions in question 1. So I want you to make sure that tomorrow you take all the marks from question 1. And then question 2, that is where you are going to come across your finance. Everything under finance you will find in question 2. Your financial documents, your tariff systems, your banking documents, income tax, VAT, exchange rates, your interest, all those sections, you must expect to find them under question 2. And then your question 3, it is strictly for data handling. Your mean, your median, discrete data, continuous data, the quartiles, the graphs, all those you are going to find under your question 3. And then under question 4 and question 5, that is where you are going to find integration. By integration, it means the topics are mixed together. That is where you're going to find the topics of finance, your topics of data handling combined in one question. And then as I've outlined the topics that you are going to find with probability, you can find probability in question 1, you can find it in question 2, you can find it in question 3, you can find it in 4 or in question 5. So because probability is not a large section, it can be integrated in any of the questions. And then under finance, these are all the topics that will be assessed in tomorrow's paper. So when you revise, you make sure that you've seen or you went through your financial documents. Remember, under financial documents, you can work with banking documents like your bank statement. There is your pay slip, which is also known as a salary advice. You can work with account statements, you can work with invoices, with quotations. You must know how to study a financial document, and you must know the different terminologies, because the examiner can ask you what is an opening balance. They can ask you what is a closing balance. What do you understand by the word credit? So you must make sure that you understand all those terminologies in finance. Remember, in your classwork books, you do have a glossary of terms. So make sure that you go and revise your terminologies, because they are examinable. Under taxation, we know that taxation is divided into two sections, which is the section of VAT. It is also divided into income tax. So you must know that VAT stands for value added tax, and it is calculated at what percentage? At 15%. And then tariff systems, we've got different types of tariff systems. One, you must know how to explain a tariff. They can ask you what is a tariff. So to explain a tariff, you can say it is the charge for services that are used. If you're going to climate taxing, if you go into school using a taxing, there's a certain tariff that the taxis are using. A tariff, it means that if you're moving from one point to another and they say that you will pay 25 rand, it means the tariff for that trip is 25 rand. So the tariff, it is a charge for services that have been used. And then your income, expenditure, profit, loss, income and expenditure statement, budget, and the break-even analysis. This section, you must also expect it tomorrow as you are preparing your cost and selling prices. You must know how to explain them. Your interest, remember, with interest, we've got simple, and then we also have compound interest. And then also under interest, we also have higher purchase. So go and revise these things, because they are going to be in the exam tomorrow. The section of banking, loans and investment, inflation, and then lastly, the exchange rate. So all these topics will be in tomorrow's question paper. And then I emphasize the importance of terminology, because you will definitely be asked to explain some concepts in the exam tomorrow. And you must know that when you talk about opening balance and the balance brought forward, in the context of Meslit, we are talking about the same amount here. You must be able to explain what a debit is. You must be able to explain what a credit is. When you talk about a statement, all the amounts in the credit are the monies that are coming in. And then all the debit, it means as a client, that is the money that you are owing. So you know the difference between debit and credit. And you must know the meaning of deposit. What does it mean? You must know the break-even point. When you talk about a break-even point, we are talking about a point in the business whereby the income and expenses of a business are the same. Or a point whereby a business is not making any profit, a business is not making any loss. And then under data handling, with data handling, we follow these 6 steps of the data handling process. So if they ask you tomorrow, what are the 6 steps of the data handling process? It is your developing questions. That is step number 1. The second step is collecting data. Step number 3, classifying and organizing your data. Step number 4, summarizing data, representing data. And the last step of data handling is analyzing and interpreting data. So the first stage, which is developing questions, this is whereby before you start your investigation, before you start your research, you must be able to pose questions to the people that will be conducting the survey on. And the type of questions that you ask, you need to make sure that your questions are not biased, because we have 2 types of questions. We have biased questions, we have unbiased questions. Example of biased questions would be if I were to ask you guys now, what is your favorite, is mathematical literacy your favorite subject? Already I'm leading you guys towards the answer. Most of you will say yes, because I'm the mathematical literacy teacher and you might not want to hurt my feelings. But if the question was unbiased, the question should say, what is your favorite subject? So by saying what is your favorite subject, it means it is an open question. I'm giving you guys a chance to explore the different subject that might be your favorite. So you must know your biased and your unbiased questions. And once you've posed your questions now, you need to come up with a method that you will use to collect your data. Method or instrument. So we say it is the data collection method, or rather instrument. It is the same thing. So when you pose questions, the methods that you can use one, you can use interview to find information from people. You can use questionnaire. You can use a survey. You can use observation. And then lastly, you can even use database. So go and revise this, go to your notes. I know you have a lot of information on this. And then once you've collected your data, now you must classify your data. When you classify your data, you classify it either as categorical, or as numerical data. When you talk about categorical data, we are talking about data that is grouped or that is classed according to categories. If I were to come to your class now, I say girls this side, boys this side. It means I am classifying you according to gender, to the category of gender. If I were to come to your class and say those that are wearing pink, this side, those that are wearing blue, this side, those that are wearing green, that side, I'm classifying you according to the different colors. So that is an example of categorical data. And then with numerical data, this one is self-explanatory because numerical means numbers. It means the data is classified according to numbers. If we had a graph that shows the pass percentage of matric learners for a particular school over the years, the percentages will be given in numbers. Like the 1 year it was 95%, the 1 year it was 100%, the other year it was 98%, because it is numbers that makes the data to be numerical data. And if your data is numerical data, it means it can also be classified as what? As discrete or continuous. So you must know what is continuous data. You must know what is discrete data. I always tell the learners that with discrete data, that is the data that is obtained through counting. If I were to ask how many learners are in your class, it is not something that you can guess. It is not something that you must measure, but you must physically count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And since you are counting, it means you cannot have a decimal number of people that you are counting. Therefore, discrete data, we can say it is data that is obtained from counting. Whereas your continuous data, that is the data that you obtain from measuring. If I wanted to know how tall I am, I will need a measuring tape, and then I will have to measure myself, and then I can see that, oh, I'm 1.6 meters. So because for me to get my height, I had to measure it. That makes height a perfect example of continuous data. So from this, we can therefore say that continuous data, it is the data that is obtained through measurement. Whereas discrete data, it is the data that is obtained through counting. And then after you've classified your data, then you can organize your data into your tally and frequency tables. Remember with the tallies, example, if this is the tally, then this is the frequency. When we tally, let's say we are tallying 3, it is 1, 2, 3, and then it is the number 3. If you want to tally 5, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the number 5. If let's say you wanted to tally 8, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then the number 8. And very important with your tallies, you must always indicate the total. Always. If there's no total, then your tally table is incomplete. This is a tally and frequency table. So you add the two, you get the total is 16. This is just a reminder. Remember, you've been doing this since grade 8, grade 9, in grade 10, Maths Lit, you did this. Grade 11, you did this. Even this year, you did this. So this is examinable. Do not be surprised when you come across this in tomorrow's exam paper. And then once we've now organized our data, then we summarize our data. When we summarize our data, we summarize it using the measures of central tendency and the measures of spread. So when you talk about the measures of central tendency, we are talking about your mean, we are talking about your mode, we are talking about your median. And then data can also be summarized using the measures of spread. The measures of spread are it is your range, and then it is also your quartiles. So this is how your data can be summarized. And remember, with your quartiles, you have your Q1, you have your Q2, you have your Q3. And then you can also be expected to calculate the interquartile range. So what is the interquartile range? It is your Q3 minus your Q1. So after summarizing your data, then your data can now be represented. And it is represented using what? It is now represented using graphs. After you've represented it, now it's time for you to analyze and interpret your data. The most common question that they ask when it comes to analyzing and interpreting data, it is the question of the trends. They can give you a table and they ask you to give the trend, whether it's a table or a graph. Maybe they'll be showing you the different past percentages of a certain school over the years. And they say, what is the trend? It means you must do the trend analysis. That question of trend, when you answer it with the increase or decrease. That's how you answer that question. You mention, is there an increase or was there a decrease? And then mostly you also mention the period over the years. So you can say between year 1 and year 2 there was an increase, and then from year 3 to year 4 there was then a decrease. So once the question is asking about trends, the way that you answer it with increase or decrease, and then you mention the years. That is how you answer that question of giving a trend. And this is the terminology that you must know in data handling. You must know what is an outlier. When you talk about an outlier, we are talking about a value that stands out amongst the other values. If I were to come to your class now and I wanted to collect data on your ages in your classroom, I will find that most of you are between the ages of 17, 18, 19, 20. 17, 18, 19, 20. And then when I ask for the age of your teacher currently, you find that maybe your teacher is 48, or your teacher is 49, or your teacher is 50. Do you see what is happening? All your ages are almost at the same. You are in the same age group, but then your teacher's age, it is way above the rest. Then that makes your teacher's age an outlier, because that is the value that stands out amongst the other values. So you must know how to explain a mode, that a mode is a value that appears the most. You must be able to explain what is a median. Median, it is the middle value of an arranged data. So you must know such. And then also remember, I told you that we must also expect the section of probability in tomorrow's paper. So with the probability, you must understand the probability scale. The probability scale, it ranges from 0 up to 1. If the chances of something happening are at 0, then we know that it is impossible. That thing will never ever happen. But if the chances of something happening are at 1, then it means that we are 100% sure that particular something will definitely happen. But if something, it is at 50%, or it is at half, or it is at 0.5, it means there's a 50-50 chance that something will happen. It can either happen or it might not happen. So we say in the probability language, we say it is equally unlikely as it is likely. So that is where we say there's 50-50 chances. So if it is less than half, anything that is less than half, it means the chances of it happening are unlikely. But if it is more than half, if it is more than 50%, let's say it was 75%, we are saying the chances of it happening are likely. But if it is at 100% or at 1, then 100% sure. We are definitely sure that thing is definitely going to happen. And then you must know your tree diagram. You must know your two-way table. So this would be the information or the probability that is represented in the form of a tree diagram, the other one in the form of a two-way table. You must also be able to explain the word probability. That probability, it is the chances of something happening. So here are the type of questions, the possible exam questions that you might expect for tomorrow's paper. I hope you are going to work with me, and I hope this is visible enough for all of you to be able to see. So this is an example of the questions that you will find in question 1. Remember, I said question 1, it is very easy questions. It is knowledge questions. It is not something that you should be scratching your head over. So 1.1, question 1, due to inflation, many South Africans are turning to house brands to help reduce their food budget. The table alongside compares the prices of 10 food items and 6 non-food items at 5 different retailers in 2023. So let's look at the table. The first part, it is the food items. What are the retailers? It is the retailer is Woolworths, there is Spar, there is Premium Store, there is Food Lovers, there's Checkers, and there is Pick and Pay. So in total, there is 6 retail shops. So the food items that they're talking about here, we've got baked beans, there's tuna, all these up until the total of them of the food. So we can take one item and compare. Let's take tomato sauce. This is the tomato sauce. If I check the price of tomato sauce at Woolworths, it is $39.99. At Spar, it is $28.99. At Premium Store, it is $32.99. Food Lovers, $26.99. Checkers, $24.99, and Pick and Pay, it is $24.99. So by just looking at this, you can already tell that in terms of tomato sauce, Checkers and Pick and Pay are the cheapest if you were to buy tomato sauce. And then at the bottom here, it is the non-food items. It means it's items that you cannot eat, like your bleach, your toilet paper, your dishwashing liquid. If you look at toilet paper, it's $148 at Woolworths, but $129 at Spar. So this is just a comparison of the different items. Possible questions. 1.1.1. Identify the shop with the cheapest white sugar. So you go to your column of items, and then where is white sugar? This is our white sugar. So we need to identify the shop with the cheapest. So white sugar at Woolworths is $49.99, Spar $52.99, Premium $51.99, Food Lovers $42.99, Checkers $49.99, and Pick and Pay is $51.99. So I think from here we can all agree that the cheapest one is $42.99, but they wanted the shop, therefore the shop is what is Food Lovers. That is the correct answer there. Define the term inflation. In this question, they're just asking us to define it, but then in the SKU to explain inflation according to the given context. So when you explain a word according to the given context, you are explaining it according to the story that they would have given you. Remember in Maths Lit, all our questions, they have stories. Before you can even go to questions, they will tell you there is Mandla. Mandla is planning to go shopping, wagawa. So when you explain the word, you explain it according to the story of Mandla that they've given you. So in this case, when you explain what is inflation, inflation is the general increase in the prices of goods and services over the years. That is inflation, the general increase of price, the general increase of goods and services over the years. That is how you can explain inflation. And then 1.1.3, we must arrange the frozen mixed vegetables prices of all the various retailers in ascending order. Guys, ascending order means what? Ascending order is an arrangement from the smallest value to the biggest value, or from the lowest value to the highest value. That is the meaning of ascending order. Whereas descending order, descending means from the highest to the lowest. Now, let's look at the frozen vegetables. Where is this? Here is frozen vegetables. So meaning we must arrange these values here in ascending order. So looking at this, the smallest value, it is 29.99. That is number 1. The second one, it is 34.99. The next one is 39.99. The next one is 43.99. Then we have 46.99. And then lastly, we've got 47.99. So when you arrange them, you write them down nicely to say, okay, the first value, it is 29.99. And then the second one, it is 34.99. The next one, the third one is 39.99. And then you arrange all of them. You write all of them. So tomorrow, when you are asked to arrange, you rewrite all your values. To see here on the table, it is 6 values. After doing that, you must count your values and you must have a total of 6 values. Then you would know that your arrangement is correct. The next one, they say show how the basket total of 812.84 cents for Woolworths was calculated. Definitely, this question, you will get it in a financial document whereby they want you to show how the value was calculated. When the question says show, please refrain from explaining. When they want you to show, they want you to show by means of calculations. So we are looking at what? At Woolworths. This is Woolworths, and what do we want? We want the basket total of 812. This is the basket total of 812. So how was this determined? They actually took the food total and plus the non-food total. So they said the 487.90, and then you plus what? You plus the 324.94 cents. So when you add the two amounts, the answer that you must get there, it must be 812.84 cents. This is how you answer the question when they want you to show. And then 1.1.6, calculate the difference. Difference means what in Mathslit? When you see the word difference, then you know that I must minus. Tomorrow, you will find a question that wants you to calculate the difference. And you must smile because you know that difference means minus. Calculate the difference in price of a bottle of chutney at Food Lovers and Spar. So you highlight Food Lovers and what? And Spar. And what are we looking for? We are looking for a bottle of chutney. So what is the bottle of chutney at Spar? It is 28.99. At Food Lovers, it is 47.99. So we will take the bigger amount, which is 47.99, and then we subtract the smaller amount, which is 28.99. And that is where now your calculator comes in. The answer that I'm getting there is 19 rands. I hope you guys are getting the same answer. Sure, you see how expensive this bottle of chutney is at Food Lovers. 1.1.7, write down the name of the food item that has the same price at 5 of the shops. So what you do, you look at all your food items. You start with the baked beans and you check, do we have the same price? Here is the same price. Or also here at the same price, but it's not the same at the 5 of the shop. And then you do the same with tuna and all of them. And then eventually you will see that when it comes to cabbage, it is 19.99 here, it is 19.99 there, 1999 there, 1999 there, and 1999. So the correct answer here would be what? Would be cabbage. Cabbage is your food item that has the same price in all the 5 shops, except where? Except at Spar. 1.1.8, write as a unit ratio the price of tuna to the price of apples. As soon as the question says ratio, then you know that you must write is to And in this case, they say as a unit. By unit, it means they want your answer to be 1 is to something. Unit means 1. It means single. So now let's look at the question. They want the price of what? Of tuna. Then you write it down. Okay, my tuna to the price of apples. So it's tuna to apples. Where? At Checkers. So we come to Checkers. What is the price of tuna at Checkers? It is 19.99. What is the price of apples at Checkers? It is 34.99. So we will write it then in that order. The order, guys, very, very important. So it's 19.99 is to 34.99. And then when you simplify this, obviously on your calculator, you will say divide by 1999 divide by 1999, and then therefore here we will have 1. It will be 1 is to 1,75. So that is your unit ratio for the price of tuna to the price of apples. A comparison of the 2022 and 2023 basket total is listed in the table below. Classify the data below as numerical or categorical data. So what is happening here? We have the different prices for the different years. For 2022, these are the prices for a certain food basket. And in 2023, these were the prices for a certain food basket. And then here, we've got the percentage difference. So is this classified according to categories or numbers? The correct answer there is numerical. So when you write the answer to this question, this data is numerical data. Write down the modal basket price for 2023. When you talk about the modal means what? It means mode. It means the value that appears the most. And then here we want the mode for which year? For 2023. So where is 2023? Here is your 2023. So let's check. Do we have a value that appears the most here? There is 650. There is 650. This one is 670, this one is 732, this one is 707. So they wanted to ask the modal basket price. So the modal basket price is this one. It is 650 and 84 cents, because that is the price that is appearing more than the other prices. Calculate the median basket price for 2023. What is the median again? It is the value in the middle. And then for which year? For 2023. It means on your table now, you go to 2023. And then you check, is our data arranged? Nope, our data is not arranged. Let's quickly arrange it. It is 650 first, 650,84. Then there is 650,84. Then there is 670,84. Then there is 707,01. Then there is 732,84. And then we give a mark for that. And then from there we identify the value in the middle. This makes it your median. This is your middle value. If there were 2 values, we would add them together and divide them by 2. And the answer that we get then will then be our median. Calculate the mean basket price for 2022. This time now, you're no longer looking at 2023, but you're looking at 2022. Remember, when you talk about mean, it is the sum of all the values. So what is our values there? It's 608,34 plus 519,84 plus 584, 74 plus 567, 84 plus 563, 84, and then we divide. How many values are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we divide by 5. And then you take out your calculators, you do the calculation. How much are you getting? I'm getting 2,915 and 16. And then I'm still going to divide this by 5. After division by 5, I'm getting a mean of 583 and 12 cents. So someone can ask you, what does this mean? This average. It means that on average, the price, the basket price for 2022, it was 583 and 12 cents. That is how you can interpret the mean. 1.2.5, identify the third guys, language, the third highest percentage difference. So we go to this column of percentage difference. Let's look at the first highest. The first highest there, it is 16.21. And the second highest one, it is what? It is 15.42. And then what is the, I'm sorry, the first one is 24, and then 16 is number 2, and then 15 is number 3. So what is the third highest? The third highest, it is 15.42%. Do you see what is going on with these questions? We are not thinking about it. The answers are there. They're given to us. So this is what you can expect in tomorrow's paper 1 for question 1, that the answers will be given to you. You must be able to identify the answers. Write the percentage difference for SPAR as a common fraction. So you go to the percentage difference table. This is the percentage difference table. And then what is the percentage for SPAR? There is SPAR. The percentage for SPAR is 24%. So you write it down that it is 24%. But what was the instruction? They want us to write it as a common fraction. So when you write this as a fraction, it is what? It is 24 divided by, remember we always say that percentage, percent means what? Division by 100. And then you punch this on your calculator. This is where your calculator comes in so that it can simplify this for you. When you punch this on your calculator, the answer is 6 over 25. Then this is 24% in as a common fraction. Remember, common fractions from grade 3, they must always be simplified. And you don't have to stress. You are more than welcome to use your calculator to simplify. Question 2, the ones that we're doing were examples of how question 1 is structured. Now we are going to look at the examples of question 2s, how they are structured. So for question 2, Gary is looking to start his own business and comes across the advert that is shown for commercial property at a monthly rental fee of 20,000. So this is a property that this person is renting. It's actually a business property. So there's a monthly fee for rent that is paid, which is 20,000. And then the size of this place, it is 160 square meters. And then this office that you are renting, it includes 1 reception area, 4 big offices, a 10-seater boardroom, 1 kitchen, 2 toilets, 3 undercover parking spaces, 2 open parking spaces. So all these are included in the 20,000 rent. And then there is additional costs. These costs now, they are not included in the 20,000. This is something that you will pay extra. We have water and electricity. And with water and electricity, you can see that there is no amount. The reason why there is no amount is because the water and electricity, it is pay as you use. So the money that you will pay will depend on how much water and electricity you have consumed. Whereas for security, there's a monthly amount of 600. For refuse, to take out the rubbish and all that, it's a monthly fee of 107 rands. And then a deposit, with every rental space that you rent, you are required to pay a deposit. And in this case, Gary is expected to pay 75% of the monthly rent as a deposit. And then lastly, there is a penalty fee of 4.25% of the monthly rent if the rent is not paid on time. So if you have an agreement that your rent must be paid on the first of every month, and then you don't pay on that day, it means they will charge you. By charging, it means they impose what? A penalty. So that is where the issue of the penalty comes in. The penalty fee is what is 4.25% of the monthly rent. Now let's look at the questions. To see what I'm doing, before I go to the questions, I study the document that is given to me. I make sure that I understand. I've got all the information. Then I can go to the questions. 1.3.1, a penalty is charged if the monthly rent is not paid on time. Write down the percentage mentioned alongside. Here is the percentage. They told us that there is a penalty fee of what? Of 4.25%. 1.3.2, write the number of open parking spaces to the number of undercover parking spaces as a ratio. With ratio, the order is very, very important. They say write the number of what? Open parking. So when you write it, they started with open. You write open parking to what? To the number of undercover parking. The order is very important. If you miss the order, then you've missed it all. So the open parking, what are you supposed to write here? Write the number of open parking. Okay, how many open parking spaces do they have then? They've got 2, so it means for open parking is 2. And how many undercover parking do they have? They have 3, so the ratio is 2:3. And it is already in the simplified format, so we don't have to simplify it any further, unless if they had said in a unit form. Then in a unit, you know that you'll have to leave it as 1:something. But in this case, they just said ratio. It is already simplified. Therefore, we don't have to stress about simplifying it further. Write down 2 other additional costs that are not included in the rent. Remember, the items that are included in the rent are this top part. And then these ones at the bottom, these are the additional costs. In addition to the 20,000 that is already paying for rent, he's also expected to cover the cost for water and electricity, for security fee, for refuse, and then yes, also then the deposit. So if we have to write the 2 other additional costs, we can say it is water. Water goes with electricity, so it is water and electricity. And then the second one we can use security fee. And very important, because they said only 2, then you must only mention 2. When they say 2, you don't give 3. When they say 3, you don't give 4. You give the exact number that is required. Number 4, calculate the annual rent that Gary will pay. Remember, guys, annual means what? Annual means multiply by 12. So here we know that Gary is paying 20,000 a month. So it is 20,000. Because it is annual, we multiply it by 12. So we say 20,000 multiplied by 12. I'm getting this 20,000 multiplied by 12. I'm getting 240,000. So the answer there is 240,000. This is what you should be getting in your answer there. So very important, you must know that annual means per year, and then it means if you are giving something monthly, to convert it to annual, you will have to multiply that by 12. And then I have a financial document again here. I hope it's clear on your side, guys. I'm sorry about the writing. The font size is so tiny. Mrs. Samantha Dlamini received her tax invoice from Rango Property Specialist for her rented unit. Her adapted statement of account is shown alongside. So this is a statement, or rather a tax invoice for Mrs. Samantha Dlamini and this is her address, and the date of this statement was the 1st of July 2021. The payment was up to the 19th of June. And then we've got the transactions here, or there is the amount due. Very important, the amount due is 2,340. And then we've got your list of items. There's date 1st of June 2021. The balance brought forward. Remember I said balance brought forward and opening balance. Same WhatsApp group. The balance brought forward, it is 894 and 55 cents. And then there's different transactions that are happening. Remember I said the debit, these are the costs. These are the monies that this person is owing. These are the monies that she must still pay. And then a credit, it is the money that she puts in the account. Remember, she's owing. So on the company statement, when she makes a payment, it will appear as a minus because she is making a payment. That is why it is now appearing as a minus. 2.1.1, write down the statement date. So you would have studied your financial document, and there is the section of the statement date. So what is the statement date? It is the 1st July 2021. Let us not be lazy. Some of you just write the 1st, some of you just write July. You write it in full as it is provided. It was the 1st of July 2021. And then 2.1.2, define the term debit within the given context. Remember what is the context about? The context is a story. It is about Samantha Dlamini, and this is the statement of Samantha Dlamini for the property that she is renting. So when you talk about debit, I said the debit here in this case, it is the money that Samantha owes. So if you are going to explain it, we will say it is the money that Samantha owes for the property that she is renting. That she is renting. So this is how you explain concepts according to the given context. As soon as they say according to the given context, it means according to the story that they gave you. 2.1.3, calculate the missing value A. So where is A? This is our A. So when we calculate our A, we are going to take this amount and then we are going to subtract this amount because this amount is it's a minus to give us the value of A. Then you will say A equals to 3,205 and 51, and then we say minus what? 3,206. And then the answer that I'm getting here, I'm getting negative 0.49. It means the value of A is minus 49 cents. What it means here, it means that Samantha has actually settled her account. She doesn't owe. Instead, the property people, they actually owe her 49 cents. And as you can see here, it was saying credit settlement. She settled the credit. Settling means you are paying off. You are paying off your account. When they say you are settling your account, it means you are paying it off. 2.1.4, show how the amount due, which is 2,340 and 73, was calculated. So they are talking about this amount here. The biggest mistake that you guys make when you have to show how the amount was calculated, you want to add all these values. No. It doesn't work like that. What you must do, you only look at your last values. So to show how this value was calculated, you are going to take this 2,075, and then from here you must add it to the 265. So you say 2,075 and 44 plus 265, it is 29 and 29 cents. So when you punch this on your calculator, the answer that I'm getting there, that you should also be getting, it is 2,340 and 73 cents. That is the answer that we should all be getting. So when you show, remember I said when they say show how, they want you to show in terms in a form of calculations. You do not explain. 2.1.5, state one reason why Rango Property does not accept cash payment. Look, if you look at the bottom there, it says bank details, and then they say important, no cash payment. I want to believe that given the days and times that we are living in, I don't think it's safe for any business to be accepting cash, because anyone can just walk in and rob you of that money. So my thinking is that the reason why they're not accepting cash, it is because of safety reasons. That is the only reason that I can think of. If you have an interesting reason, you are more than welcome to share that with your teacher, and then your teacher will tell you whether that reason is valid or invalid. 2.2, Joanne, a 56-year-old professional, works as an accountant. She is the main member of her medical aid along with her husband and son. In 2022-2023 tax year, she received an average taxable income of 47,520 per month. Use the tax income tables alongside regarding the way individuals pay personal income tax, and use it to answer the questions that follow. Before we go to any questions, what you see here, they said taxable income. Tomorrow, if you are lucky and you see a taxable income, you say yes, because your problems are about to be solved. What do you do once you have a taxable income? You come to this table, the tax rate table, and then look at this column. It says taxable income, meaning once you have this taxable income, then the next step is to come to this table and decide which bracket you are going to use, and then you can start calculating tax. These are the brackets, and this we call bracket 1, this is bracket 2, bracket 3, bracket 4, bracket 5, bracket 6, and this is bracket number 7. And then we have a tax rebate. This is the rebate section. What is the purpose of rebate? A rebate is a special discount that is given to all the taxpayers. Again, the amount of rebate you will receive will depend on your age. The primary rebate, it is for everyone. Everyone that is paying tax will receive a primary rebate of 17,235. If you are between the ages, or if you are above 65, if you are older than 65, it means you will receive two rebates. You will get the primary rebate and the secondary rebate, which is the 17,235 and the 9,444. If you are 75 years and older, then you will get all the three rebates. You'll get the primary, you'll get the secondary, you'll also get the tertiary, meaning that you add all these three amounts. And then a tax threshold. Girls and boys, when you talk about a tax threshold, the threshold is a system that determines whether a person should be paying tax or not, also depending on the age of the person. So if we want to know, according to the age of the person, whether a person must be paying tax or not, that is where now the issue of tax threshold comes in. For example, our taxpayer here, she is 56 years old. It means she falls here under 65. And then she has an average taxable income of 47,520 per month. If you want the annual, we can just say 47,520 multiply by 12. And if you multiply that by 12, I'm getting 570,000. It is 570,000. Okay, I'm sorry. 47,520. 570,000 240. So remember, she's under 65, and it means her annual taxable income is 570, 240. Looking at the threshold, it is how much? It is 95,750. So according to this, Joanne should be paying tax. She qualifies to pay tax because her annual taxable income, it is way above the tax threshold. So if they ask you tomorrow, what do you understand by the tax threshold? You tell them that is the system that determines whether an individual qualifies to pay tax or not. If they ask you to calculate or to check whether the tax threshold of 148,217 for people that are 65 and older is correct. If you want to check if this is correct, you are going to take this amount and then you bring it into the tax rate tables and you calculate the tax. You follow all the tax steps, you calculate the tax, you subtract the rebate. The answer that you get, you will get 0, 0. If the answer is 0, 0, it means the tax threshold is correct. And then lastly, we have the medical tax credit. Remember the medical tax credit, it is also a special discount that is given to the taxpayers that are paying medical aid. With the medical aid tax credit, it is now per month, meaning whatever you are doing with these values, you must always multiply them by 12, because when it comes to the tax language, everything that we are doing, everything that we are working with, it must be in the annual format. Now, let's go to the possible questions. 2.2.1. What is the organization that is responsible for the collection of taxes? Remember, as we are paying tax, income tax, there is someone that is collecting that tax from us. We don't have to go somewhere every month to go and queue and say, hey, I'm here to pay my taxes. There is someone that is collecting that taxes. So it's actually not a person, it is an organization. And that organization is called the SARS. They can ask you, what does the acronym SARS stand for? It is the South African Revenue Services. South African Revenue Services. That is the organization that is responsible for the collection of taxes in South Africa. Discuss the purpose of paying income tax. Why must we pay tax? The main reason why we are paying tax, it is so that the government will be able to run and manage the country. Because the money that we pay towards tax, that is the money that is used to build hospitals. That is the money that is used to build schools. That is the money that is used to pay the social grants. That is the money that they use to pay the public servants. Who are the public servants? Us teachers, your nurses, your police, your home affairs people, your social workers. So all those things, they have to be done. And for them to be done, that is why now the taxes come in. That is why it's so important for us to pay tax, so that the government will be able to run and manage the country. Because the money that is paid towards tax, it is used for what again? To pay the public servants, that is us, the teachers and your nurses and your police, to pay for the social grants, to build schools, to build hospitals, to build the roads for all the infrastructure in the country. 2.2.3, what is the maximum? Maximum we mean what we mean? The highest. What is the maximum taxable income for tax bracket number 3? Remember I said this is bracket 1, this is bracket 2, this is bracket number 3. And all these amounts here, what do we call them? They are taxable income. So now they want you to go to bracket number 3, and then under bracket number 3, under taxable income, this part, between the two values, which one is the maximum? The second one is the maximum. So the maximum income here, it is 512,800. 2.3.1, determine Joanne's annual taxable income. Remember, what did they give us here? They gave us 47,520 per month, and they told us that this is the monthly taxable income. So if we want the annual taxable income, annual taxable income. For us to get the annual taxable income, you will take the monthly, which is 47,520, and then what are you going to do with it? You're going to multiply by 12. Remember, I've been preaching that annual means you multiply by 12. And then what is the answer? How much are you guys getting there? Because on my side, I'm getting 570,240. This is the annual amount, annual taxable income that I'm getting if I take the monthly and then I multiply it by 12. 2.3.2, calculate Joanne's yearly medical aid credits. Remember, she is the main member of her medical aid along with her husband and her son. So she's paying medical aid for how many people? For herself, plus husband, plus son, meaning she's paying a total of for how many people for? For 3 people. So now you go to your medical aid credit table. This table here, the medical aid. For the first person, how much is she gonna pay? She's gonna get 364 credit. This is the credit that she's getting, the discount. For the second person, she's also gonna get 364. And then for the last person, she's gonna get how much? 246. And then you add all the 3 values. How much are you getting? I am getting 974. But remember, this is what this is. This is monthly. And what was the question? The question says calculate the yearly. And yearly means what? It means we must multiply by 12. You got it right. You got it right. Therefore, we'll say 974 and then we times by 12. How much are you getting, guys, there? I am getting 11,688. This is the amount that I'm getting once you multiply the 974 by 12, meaning that the medical aid credit, when you calculate this person's tax, at the end, when you subtract the rebate, you must also subtract the 11,688 for medical aid. Determine the annual amount of tax that Joanne should pay. Remember, her annual taxable income is how much? It is 570,214, and then the annual medical aid credit, it is 688, and Joanne is 56 years old. Now, girls and boys, I've been doing a lot of talking since the beginning of this lesson. I want to give you guys a chance to do this calculation, to calculate the annual tax that Joanne should pay, and then I'm going to give you exactly 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, I will come back and then we'll do it together. Then you can compare your solution with my solution. Let's do this. I'll be back within 2 minutes. Welcome back. I hope you got the solution. Let's do it together now. Remember, we have our annual taxable income, and when you see the word taxable income, it tells you already that you must go to your tax rate table on the column of taxable income, and then you check your taxable income, it falls under which bracket. Remember, it's already in annual format, so we don't have any worries. Then let's go and check. We've got bracket 1, bracket 2, bracket 3, bracket 4, bracket 5, 6 up to number 7. And our taxpayer has an annual income of 570. Let's check where is 570. Here is 512. It's less than 570. So we'll go to the next bracket. It means we are going to work with bracket number 4. When you answer this, I want you to write it down that, okay, I'll be working with bracket number 4. And then the next step that you are going to do, you are going to rewrite the formula on bracket number 4. You rewrite it. Then you say 121,475 plus 36% of the amount, okay, supposed to be of the taxable amount. The taxable amount, remember, this is our taxable amount, which is how much? It is 570,240. And then we minus what? We minus this 512,800. Always, you are always going to minus this amount. Minus the 512,800, and then you close your brackets. And then you can just punch this in on your calculator as it is. You put the bracket on the correct places, your additions at the correct places. Or you can write it down step by step to say 121,475 plus 36%. I punch on my calculator, I say 36 divided by 100, and then it gives me 0.36. I know in MathLit, when I see off, I must immediately convert it to multiply. And then I work out what's inside the bracket. I'm using a calculator. Guys, you are allowed to use your calculator. That is the advantage in MathLit, that you can use your calculator wherever. So we say 570,240 minus 512,800. You subtract the two, and I got 7,440. So after this, guys, I'm gonna punch everything as it is on my calculator. I'm not sure about you guys there, but I got 142,153 and 14 cents. So this is the amount of tax that our taxpayer is gonna pay. But remember, every taxpayer qualifies for a discount, and that discount, we call it what? We call it a rebate. So you are gonna say minus the rebate. Remember, this taxpayer also pays medical aid. You will also say minus what? Minus medical aid. So then we'll do this. We'll say 142,153 and 40 minus how old is our taxpayer. This is where now the age comes in. The age comes in when it comes to the rebate, so that you know how much discount you must be giving. So our taxpayer is 56. It means she qualifies for a primary rebate, which is 17,235 minus the medical aid. We calculated it in the previous slide. It is how much? It is 11,688. And then the answer that I'm getting here, after subtracting everything, I'm getting the annual tax of 113,230 and 40 cents. So this is the annual tax that Joanne is going to pay at the end of this particular tax year. I hope you got the same answer. Remember, I gave you a chance to try this one. If you've got the answer, great stuff, good for you. If you didn't get it right, I hope you can see where your mistake is, and then tomorrow, should you come across the same question, you don't repeat the same mistake. Mrs. Lamini? who is age 65 years, earns a monthly basic salary of 80,000 rand. In taxation, when we see monthly, already we know that we have problems. You see monthly, you see basic, no taxable income. Our problems are already starting. Even my facial expression is changing. She contributes 7.5% of her basic salary to her pension fund. She donates 10,000 rand per year to a charity organization. Okay. 2.4.1. Calculate Mrs. Dlamini's annual taxable income. So, guys, remember we have a formula for taxable income. Our formula is that taxable income, it is equals to gross income minus non-taxable deductions. So do we have the non-taxable deductions there? Yes. What are the non-taxable deductions? It is the pension fund, 1, and then we also have what donations, which is 2. So first things first, I'm going to take this basic salary. Remember, this basic salary is monthly, and I don't want to work with anything that is monthly. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to convert this basic salary to annual. I'm going to say 80,000, and then I multiplied by 12. So it is 2.4. 80,000 multiplied by 12 is going to give me 960,000. 960,000. Let me just close it here. Yes. So now that I have this, I can calculate my pension. And then I will say, okay, pension. They told us that pension is 7.5% of the basic salary. So it will be 7.5%. It is 7.5 over 100 multiplied by the basic. It is how much? It is 916,000. And then we do this calculation. I'm getting 72,000. That is my pension. Remember, my donation is how much? My donations is 10,000. It was already given here. It is provided there. Now, if I want my annual taxable income, annual taxable income is going to be my annual income, which is 960,000. I hope you are all following me. 960,000 minus my pension, which is 72,000, minus my donations, which is 10,000 rand. And then the answer that I'm getting there, I'm getting 878,000. Remember this 878,000, it is what? It is our taxable income. If they ask you tomorrow in the exam, what is taxable income? You tell them that taxable income, it is the income that will be subjected to tax, or it is the income that is going to be taxed, or it is the income that will have tax applied to it. So when we say now we are taxing you, we only tax you on your taxable income. We don't tax your gross, but we tax your taxable income. So our taxable income here, it is 878,000. If we are going to calculate the tax of this individual, then we will have to use the 878,000 because that is our taxable income. 2.4.2. Calculate Mrs. Dlamini's monthly tax payable for the 2023-2024 tax year. Remember, guys, we had our taxable income here in the previous slide. And our taxable income, it was how much? It was 878,000. 878,000. So this is what we are working with. Now let's go to our tax rate table and check this. It falls under which bracket? it falls under this bracket here. I hope all of us can follow. It is 8. No, not this one. Sorry. It falls under. Don't make this mistake. I'm making this mistake. It's actually a common mistake that you make in the exam. So they fall under the second last bracket, because 870, it falls right here. So the formula that we are going to use is this formula. Like I said, you write the bracket number. It's bracket 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then you write, okay, I'm going to work with bracket number 6. And then you rewrite the formula there to say it is 258 plus 41% of the taxable amount. You will then use your 878 bracket 878,000, and then minus, always, you are always going to minus what? 8, 5, 7, 900. Then you close the bracket. Girls and boys, remember I said you can punch this in on your calculator as it is to get the answer straight, or you can break it down step by step. Because we don't have enough time, I'm going to punch it in as it is on the calculator so that I can get the answer. It's 2.4.2. My answer is 259,000. I hope it is correct. Please check it that side. 419.99. Remember, this is the tax that Mrs. Dlamini owes. But there is always that special discount. Then you ask yourself, how old is Mrs. Dlamini? She is 65 years old. And since she is 65 years old, what rebate does she qualify for? She qualifies for a primary rebate. She also qualifies for a secondary rebate, because she is exactly at 65 years, and the secondary is for people that are 65 and older. So we'll say minus the primary rebate minus the secondary rebate. And then I'm going to rewrite this amount, 259,499 minus the primary rebate, it is 17,235. The secondary rebate is 9,444. And then you subtract, guys. Do it on your calculator then. I got 232,820. But remember, this was an annual tax. What was the question again? The question was the monthly tax that is payable. So now, remember, all this time we've been moving from monthly to annual. But in this case now, they want us to move from annual to monthly. So how do you move from annual to monthly? You divide. Divide by what? You divide by 12. And then when you divide this by 12 for 2.4.2, I am getting 19,000. I hope I'm correct, guys. Remember, I can also make some mistakes. It is 19,401 and 67 cents. So this is the monthly tax that Mrs. Dlamini is going to contribute. It is a lot of money, but it is a lot because she is also earning a lot. So the more money you earn, the more tax you are actually going to pay. Like they say, more money, more problems. 2.5, we are still on the questions that you can expect in question 2. Michael is saving for an overseas trip in 3 years' time, which will cost him a total of 38,000. He invested his profit of 32,500 for 3 years. His bank has offered him a 6% simple interest rate per annum. Will he be able to fund his overseas trip at the end of the investment period? Remember, he's planning to take a vacation overseas, and that vacation will cost him 38,000. But currently, he only has 32,500. So his plan is to invest this 32,500 for 3 years and see that after 3 years, whether he'll be having enough money to cover for the vacation, or the money will still be too little. So you, as a grade 12 learner, you must help him calculate whether he will be able to cover this trip in 3 years' time or not. Now, as a smart maths lit learner, you know that, okay, they said simple interest. Simple interest means it's very simple. Very simple, this one. We calculate interest first. Then you say, okay, interest. What is interest? It will be 6%, and 6% is the same as 6 over 100. Multiply by, how much is he investing? He is investing 32,500. So this multiply by 32,500. And then you punch in your calculator. 6% multiplied by 32,500, it is 1,950. But remember, this is the interest for 1 year. And how much is he planning to invest? He's planning to invest for 3 years. So now this is where now you are going to say 1,950 multiplied that by 3 years. And how much are you getting, guys, on your calculators? On my side, I've got 5,850. But remember, this is just the interest after 3 years. Now I want to see the total amount he will have after 3 years. So I'm going to say total amount after 3 years. Remember, he invested how much? 32,500. So it will be 32,500 plus the interest. This is still the interest. So the interest is how much? It is 5,850. And then you add the two. How much are you getting? I am getting 38,350. But remember, his trip will cost him how much? 38,000. The trip will cost him 38,000, and then up to so far, after 3 years, he'll be having 38,350. So the question is, does he have enough money to cover the trip? You say, therefore, yes, he will be able to fund the trip. He will be able to fund the trip because he actually has more than enough. He'll even get an extra change of 350 rands because his trip was 38,000. He saved the 32,500 for 3 years, and now when he gets it back up with interest after the investment, it was now 38,350. 2.6, Mrs. Dlamini has taken a loan of 200,000. She has to pay back the loan after 2 years at 12.5% interest per annum, compounded annually. Calculate the value that Mrs. Dlamini needs to repay at the end of 2 years. The previous example, we were talking about simple interest. Now we are talking about compound interest because they are telling us that it is compounded annually. So with simple and compound interest, it is two different stories. We are not talking about the same thing here. So here we want the total value that Mrs. Dlamini needs to pay at the end of 2 years. So let me simplify this. Mrs. Dlamini borrowed 200,000, and then they charged her an interest of 12.5%, which is compound interest. So we want to know when she pays back the money at the end of 2 years, how much is she going to pay back? Now let's do the calculations, and with these calculations, it will show you the difference between simple and compound interest. That with simple interest, straightforward, you calculate the interest time multiplied by the number of years, you get your answer. But with compound interest, it is different because with compound interest, interest is added on top of another interest. So we will say for year one, it will be 200,000 multiplied by 12.5%. We are calculating the interest now. 2.6, the interest is 25,000. I hope you guys are getting the same there. That is just the interest. So I want to know the final amount, the total at the end of year one. The total for year one then would be the 200,000 plus the interest of 25,000. So it means after year 1, the total will be 225,000. This is after year 1. Now, when you go to the second year, which is year 2, for year 2, we no longer work with the 200,000. We work with the new balance. That is why I'm saying it is interest on top of another interest. So we work with the new balance, which is 225,000. 225,000, and then we multiply, because our interest rate remains the same, we will work with this one. If they had changed the interest rate, we would work with the different interest rate. Multiply by 12.5%, and then what is the interest that we are getting there, guys, on your side? I am getting 28,125. This is just the interest, remember? So now I want the total for year 2. The total for year 2 will be 225,000 plus the interest of 28,125. And then that gives me a total of 253,125. So it means after 2 years, this is the total amount that Mrs. Dlamini would have paid back at the end of the loan period. Do you see the difference between simple and compound interest? Please go and revise. And remember, with compound interest, this one that we are doing, it is easy. It is compounded annually. Sometimes it can be compounded monthly. Sometimes it can be compounded biannually. Sometimes it can be compounded quarterly, sometimes can be compounded half-yearly. Go back to your classwork book and remind yourself what to do when it is compounded half-yearly, what to do when it is compounded quarterly, because this one that I was reminding you on here, it is when it is compounded annually. With the constant load shedding, Cillian decided to install a generator on the farm. So Cillian runs a farm. Cillian contacted the dealers and decided on a Cummins 140 kVA diesel generator. The prices that Cillian sourced from the dealers are shown alongside. So this is a very big generator. If you were to buy this generator cash, it would cost 326,395. That is inclusive of VAT. Very expensive. And then if you're going to buy it cash, the chances are very slim. I mean, it's a lot of money. I myself don't have this amount of money. If you're going to buy it cash, they give you a discount of what? Of 13.5%. But most of the cases, most of the time, most people like myself, we cannot afford to buy such expensive things cash. So what we do, we buy them on credit, obviously putting down a deposit, and pay the remaining amount in affordable monthly installments. And when you choose that option, that is why when we say that you have chosen the higher purchase option, it means it is an option that allows you to buy an item on credit, put down a deposit, and make you affordable monthly installments. Which is the second option for this generator? The higher purchase option. So with the higher purchase option, you must put down a deposit of how much? Of 10%. And then after that, you pay the monthly installment. It means monthly payments. You are paying that amount every single month. How much is it? It is 17,031 and 70 cents. And then the period for this higher purchase, it means you must be done within a period of 2 years. And already, because the installment is monthly, and they're telling you that the period is 2 years, it means somewhere, somehow, you are going to have to convert these years to what? To months. And then once you've bought the generator, obviously you can't put it on yourself. It is huge. One mistake, you'll break expensive stuff. So the company must come and install that generator for you. You know, the installation. Girls are always going on, I'm going to do the installation of the hair. In this case, it is the installation of the generator. So to install this generator, it costs 35,000 rands. Whether you are buying it cash or you are buying it on hire purchase, you still have to pay that installation fee of 35,000 rand. So questions 2.7.1, explain the term hire purchase. Remember I said hire purchase, it is a system that allows a person to buy an item on credit, putting down a deposit and paying the monthly installment. That is basically how I can explain hire purchase. If you have another way that is correct, that is easier for you to explain it, you do that. But if they ask you to explain it in the exam, you must know how to explain it. So a system that allows people to buy items on credit by putting down a deposit and finishing off that item with monthly installments that are obviously affordable. The examiner can take this far and ask, what is the advantage of buying items on hire purchase? Number one is that you are able to pay your affordable monthly installment. You are able to pay according to what you can afford. Another question can ask, what is the disadvantage of buying items on hire purchase? The disadvantage of buying on hire purchase is that there is interest that is charged on whatever item that you are buying. You find that this generator is 326, but if you check with the hire purchase, after the 2 years, you find that you've paid close to 600,000 rand. So it's almost double the original price, and that is because of the interest that is already added when you choose the hire purchase option. 2.7.2, determine, excluding VAT, the generator's cash price. Currently, what are we having? We have the cash price of 326,395, but it is including VAT. Remember, when we want the VAT exclusive amount, 326,395. When you want the VAT exclusive amount, we will always multiply by 100 over 115. So that is what we'll always do, because we want the VAT exclusive amount. Please do the calculation on your calculator there. You are always welcome to do the to use your calculator on my side. I've got the answer of 283,821 and 74 cents. Because the amount is now exclusive of VAT, it is expected that it will be less than the 326,395. 2.7.3, calculate the total amount Cillian would pay for the generator if she paid cash for the generator with the installation. So what we want the total amount if she chose what then? The cash. If she would pay for the generator, if she paid what? She paid cash with installation. So the cash payment, remember when you are paying cash, there is a discount. A discount is the money that they subtract, they take out. Remember, like the rebates. So even here, when you pay cash, they give you that extra discount. You get that discount. So before we can calculate the total, let's first calculate the discount. How much is the discount? So we'll say, okay, the discount would be the 326,395 multiplied by 13.5%. So what is 13.5% of that? It is 44,063.325. I'm going to include all these three decimal values because this is not my final answer. I will only round off at the final answer. So now we've got the discount. Remember, we must subtract the discount. So when we want the cash price that this person will pay, it is going to be the 326,395 minus the discount. But remember, it's including the installation. So we must say plus the installation. So now we are going to say 326,395 minus, what is our discount? Here, we've calculated the discount. it is 44,063,325, and then plus the installation. Where is the installation? That is the installation, so it's plus 35,000 rand. And then this is where now you take out your calculator, you say 326,395 minus 44,063,325, and then you say plus 35,000, and then the answer that I'm getting there, it is 317,331. This is my final answer. So now I'm gonna round it to 68 cents. So this is the total amount that you will pay if you were buying the generator cash. It's quite a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Calculate the total amount Cillian would pay for the generator if she bought the generator using the hire purchase option. Remember, with the hire purchase, it is where you can't afford to buy cash, so you'd rather pay it in monthly installment. So first of all, we must work with our time. These 2 years, we must convert it to 2 months. So because they say monthly installment, so that's why we need to convert it to months. So it is 2 years, and then 2 years, 2 months, we multiply it is 2 multiplied by 12, which is equals to 24 months. So it means our period is 24 months. And then we must also calculate the deposit. Remember, the deposit is what is 10%. It is the down payment. You must pay it first. So deposit, it is 10%. 10% is the same as 10 over 100 multiplied by what? By the cash price. Cash price of how much? 326,395. So our deposit is 32,000. Is 32,639 and 50 cents. So this is the deposit. So if you want the total amount that she paid, so the total would be the deposit, which is, remember, the down payment, the first payment that she paid, 32,639 and 50, plus there's a monthly fee of how much? There's a monthly fee of 17,000. This one here, 17,031 and 70, multiply by 2 years. We can't say multiply by 2 years because it's per month. That is why we have to multiply by 24 months over there. Multiply by 24 months. And then, girls and boys, you punch that in your calculator, you will get a total of how much of let's do it together. It is okay. I already worked it out actually here. We are gonna say, okay, I must also include the installation. Let me write this one down first. It is 32,639 and 50 plus, open the bracket, the 17,031,7 multiplied by 24 months. This is 441,430 plus the installation. The installation is how much? Is 35,000 rand. Remember, this is what this is, installation. So I'm gonna say plus 35,000 is 476,400. 476,430 cents. So this is the total amount that this person is gonna pay if they decide to buy the generator on hire purchase. I hope you're working this out with me, guys. You are using your calculator so that if there's any mistake that I'm making, you are able to correct it from your side there. Because I cannot do this alone without your assistance. If I'm doing it alone, I might make some minor mistakes that you must make sure that you avoid by all means tomorrow. Tomorrow, no room for mistakes. After looking at the crime statistics, Mr. Duze is considering installing electrical fencing around his property. According to his municipality's website, electricity usage is calculated as indicated in the table alongside. So this is the table for the electricity tariffs. Remember I said a tariff, it is the price that you pay for services that have been rendered, or it is the charge per service that has been used. So what you need to understand with our table here, we have total kilowatts purchased per calendar month, and is per kilowatt hour. And then here it is the amount, but now the amount is in cents. So that is a big problem for us. So we do not work with cents. Our currency, we are working with rands. So when we convert, guys, from cents to rands, you will always divide by 100. And if you're going back from rands to cents, which is very rare because we are working with rands, if you're converting from rands to cents, then it is the opposite. You will multiply by 100. So in this case, it means before we even answer the questions, you make sure that your values here, you divide them by 100 so that we can get the amount in rands. You divide by 100, divide by 100, divide by 100, so that the answers that you get, they must be in rands. And then before you do any calculations again, you must break down your tariffs per block. In block 1, it is only the charge for 0 to 100 kilowatts. So if it is between 0 to 100 kilowatts, it means in this block you can only calculate for 100 kilowatts. And then in this block is more than 100 to 400. So you're going to take this 400, you subtract the 100 on top. 400 minus 100, what do we have? We have 300. Meaning for this block, the next block, you only pay for the next 300 units. And then in this block, you're going to take this 650 and then you minus the 400 on top. You always minus the one on top. Leave this one that is on the side, leave it. You minus the one on top. So 650 minus 400 on top, it means in this block we are working with 215 units. And then everything else will fall within this block, because here is anything else that is more than 650. And if you want to check that you've done your division correctly, you say 100 plus 300 plus 250. The answer that you get, it must give you exactly 650. So now what do they want us to do? They want us to calculate the monthly cost for 900 kilowatts. So we've got 900 kilowatts, but from this 900, the first block can only accommodate 100. And then the second block can only accommodate what? 300. And then the third block can only accommodate what? 250. Now, if you add 300 plus 300 plus 250, it gives you what? It gives you 600. But now the point is that we must calculate for 900. So how many kilowatts are left? You say 900 minus 600, it means we are left with what? With 300. So it means for this block here, we are going to calculate for 300 kilowatts. And then when you add all these, they are going to give you, it's going to give you what is going to give you? 900 kilowatts. So it means the division here is actually correct. Now, when we do the calculation now, when you do the cost, it is going to be, you start with the first block. It is 100 kilowatts multiplied by what is the cost? We must actually divide by 100, but because I don't have enough space, I'm going to use this as it is. I want you guys to listen to me very carefully. I'm going to use it as it is, but then my final answer, I will convert it to rands. So I'm going to say 100 multiplied by 209,70, close, plus the next block is what? Is 300 kilowatts multiplied by what? By 245,41, close the bracket, plus the next block is what? It is 250 multiplied by 267,38, close bracket, plus the last, and then we still have 300. Okay, yeah, that is the last one. 300 kilowatts multiply by 288, 288 comma 24. Then we close the bracket. And then, girls and boys, I want all of you to take out your calculators, and then let's do this one together, so that if I make mistakes, you are able to spot my mistakes. I open bracket and I say 100 multiplied by 209 comma 7 close bracket, plus open bracket 300 multiplied by 245 comma 41 close bracket, plus open bracket, it is 250 multiplied by 267 comma 38 close bracket, plus open bracket 300 multiplied by 288 comma 24 close bracket. I hope you're doing it with me, guys. I'm getting 247,910, but remember, this is what this is in cents. And what do we want? We want our cost, the money that we use, the currency that we're using. We're using what we're using, rands. And I said from cents to rands, what are we gonna do? We're gonna divide by 100. Then from here you say divide by 100. Very important. Division by 100. And then we got 2,479 and 10 cents. So this would be the total cost for the usage of 900 kilowatts of electricity. So tomorrow, whether you get an electricity or a water tariff table, before you do any calculations, you break it down like this. This is how you break it down. Then after breaking it down like this, then you can perform your calculations. Always, you get your table, water or electricity, you break it down before you can even start with your calculations. Mr. Buti is on contract. It means he uses a cell phone contract where he pays a fixed cost of 200 rand per month for 100 minutes that are free. And thereafter, there is a cost of 1 rand 20 per minute for 100 free minutes that they have been after the 100 free minutes have been used. So guys, when they talk about a fixed cost, we're talking about the cost that does not change. It means every month, whether he uses the cell phone or not, there is a fixed amount of 200 rands that he has to pay. He must put it in his budget, even if his phone can get stolen or he can lose the phone. But every month, that 200, it is fixed. It must be paid. So what is the question? Determine the amount Mr. Buti will pay for using 280 minutes for a month. So before we can even determine the amount, we must first come up with the formula here, because we have a problem. We need to have a formula that we will use to calculate the cost or the amount that Mr. Buti will pay. So we are going to say cost equals to, they said there is a fixed cost. So we'll say it is fixed cost. It will always be fixed cost plus. And then we will say the number of minutes, we'll open a bracket, the number of minutes minus the 100 free minutes. 100 free minutes, and then we multiply by the cost per minute. The cost per minute. Now let's put the values now. This was theory. Let's make it mathematical. What is the fixed cost? The fixed cost is how much is 200 plus the number of minutes, open bracket, minus 100 free minutes close bracket, multiply by the cost per minute. What is the cost per minute? It is 1 rand 20. 1 rand 20. Now we have a formula. This formula is going to help us get to the answer. Let's get to the answer. We'll say 200 plus, open the bracket. How many minutes did he use? He used 280. So it is 280 minutes minus how many minutes are free? It is 100 minutes that are free. Close the bracket and then we multiply by 1 rand, 1 rand 20. Then I'm gonna say 200 plus 280 minus 100. It is 180 multiply by 1 rand 20. Guys, when you get here, please use your calculator because your calculator knows BODMAS and it will do the right thing. Because if you want to do it yourself, you are going to mess up. So the answer that I'm getting from the calculator, it is 416 rands. You multiply first before you can add. So that's why I'm saying make sure that you use your calculator. Otherwise, if you want to try and be a super mega, you are going to end up making mistakes there. Tukelo Secondary School Matric Dance Committee bakes and sells muffins to raise funds for the matric dance. Given alongside is the graph for total cost and the total income for the muffins. So we have two graphs here. The one graph is for the total cost and the other graph it is for the total income. So looking at these graphs, I have graph A and then I have graph B. I don't know which one is my total cost. Remember, the total cost is the same as the total expenses. And the total income is the same as your income. It is the same thing. And then because this is a business, it means this side, it is the cost that were incurred by the business. Business is by Tukelo Secondary School learners. And then what are they selling? They are selling what they are selling? Muffins. So looking at graph A, it starts at 00. And then graph B starts where at between 400 and 600, it is what it is? It is 500. So graph AB starts at 500. So girls and boys, what I want you to know today is that should you come across this in the exam, you must know that always, the graph that starts at 00 will always be your income graph. Always. Why is it income? Because if the school is not selling any muffins, if they sell 0 muffins, they will not be getting any income. So if the muffins are 0, the income will also be 0. That is why a graph that starts at 00 will always represent your income graph. So to answer the question, we will say A, it is the total income. And then when you look at graph B starts where at 500. The graph that starts now on the axis anyway, in this case, the one that starts at 500, it represents the total costs. They can ask you, why does it start at 500? What does that 500 mean? You tell them that 500, it is the fixed expenses for that particular business. An example of a fixed expense, it could be what? It could be rent. It could mean that this particular business is paying a monthly rent of 500 rent. So that is why their graph for expenses will always start at 500. Whether they have spent on muffins or not, but there is that fixed amount of 500 that they must pay at the end of the year. So the graph that starts anywhere else, which is your B graph, it will represent what? It will represent the total costs always. So guys, there's different types of expenses. There is fixed expenses, which are your expenses that stays the same. They don't change. A perfect example of a fixed expense, it is rent. And then we have variable expenses. With variable expenses, those are your expenses that fluctuate. This month you pay more for that expense. Next month you can pay less. The other month you can even pay lesser. So you cannot plan around those expenses. Example, a perfect example of a variable expense, it is your water and electricity. Because the amount of water that you use this month will never be the exact amount of water that you used last month or in the coming month. Therefore, the bill, when the bill comes, if you are paying your water, the bill can never be exactly the same. The same with electricity. The amount of electricity we use this month is not the same electricity that we will use next month. So water and electricity are your perfect example of your variable expenses. Then we have occasional expenses. With your occasional expenses, as the word says, occasional, it is expenses that happens once in a while. They don't happen all the time. A perfect example of an occasional expense, it is a broken car. When your car is broken, your car is not going to break every month. You will not be fixing a car every month. If that is the case, then you must buy a new car. It means you don't have a car. So example of a fixed expense, rent. Variable expense, water and electricity. Occasional expense, a broken car. And then same as the expenses, we also have the same types with income. With income, a fixed income, it is the income that stays the same every single month. It means you know this month will be the same as next month. It was the same as last month. A perfect example of a fixed income, it is your salary. The salary that I'm receiving this month, it is the same as the salary that I got last month. It will be the same again next month. Variable income, it is the income that varies. It fluctuates. This month my income will be more, next month will be less. And we see this mainly on people that are earning income based on commission. Example, your car dealers, people that are selling cars, they earn commission. What is commission? It is that money that they get depending on the number of cars that they have sold. If it's a busy month, it's the festive season, everyone is buying cars, then it means the commission would be higher. But in January, everyone is broke, no one has money to go and buy a car, it means the sales will be very, very low. So example of variable income, it is what it is, commission. The last type of income, which is occasional income, it is the income that you receive once in a while. A perfect example would be a bonus. If you are working and you are getting a bonus is something that you get once a year. It is not something that you will get every month, because if now you are getting a bonus every month, it's no longer a bonus, it is something else. Or another example that most of you can relate with, a birthday gift. If it is your birthday and someone decides to bless you with money, that person is not going to give you money every month, because your birthday is definitely not going to be every month. It's something that happens once in a while, and that makes it an occasional income. So if you come across that tomorrow's exam, I hope you will be able to explain those concepts or even give the examples. And then here, as I was explaining, that the graph that starts at 0, 0, it is your total income. The graph that starts at any point here, that is your total cost graph. And then if you're looking at these two graphs, if you're looking at this part here, look at this first part. At this part, you will see that the costs are actually more than what? More than the income. So it means this particular business here at this point, it is actually running at a loss. They're not making any profit. They are losing. And then you look at this part here. At this point here, the two graphs are meeting. The point where the two graphs are meeting, it means your total cost and your total income are exactly the same. So there is no loss, there is no profit. And this point of a business, we call it a break-even point, because this is a point whereby the business is not making profit, the business is also not making any loss. And just after the break-even point, what's happening now? The graphs are interchanging. The income move past the expense move past the income. When you look at the total cost now, the total costs are lesser, and then the total income is more. It means now at this point, now the business is starting to make profit, because this is a point whereby the income is more than the cost. Then we say the business is making profit. And then looking at this graph, they say write down the fixed cost. Remember I said the fixed cost, the cost graph, it is this one. B is our cost graph. The fixed cost is this one because it is a fixed amount. I said it could, an example, it can be what? It can be rent. So what is the amount? The amount between 400 and 600. What is that amount? It is 500. So the fixed cost there is 500 rands. Determine the cost for baking 300 muffins. Now, guys, I'm running because I'm looking at the time. Time is no longer on our side. The total cost of baking 300 muffins. You come to the section of muffins here. You don't have to do calculations. Nothing. It's there. It's given to you. 300, they want what? Oh, sorry, yes, the total cost. Remember the cost graph, it is the big graph. So you go to the 300 muffin until it touches the big graph. Where does it touch it? It touches it here. So it means what is the cost? It is 1,400 rands. This is how you read information from the graph. Not difficult at all. You can do this. And then you must calculate the selling price. When they talk about the selling price, you are looking at the graph of A. And then for each muffin, it means for one muffin. With the graph of A, you can use the point of 100. You can use the point of 200. You can use the point of 300. You can even use the point of 400. To say, if 100 muffins cost 450, then what will be the cost of one muffin? You can do that. And then write down the number of muffins to be sold to break even. Remember, I said the break even point is where the two graphs meet. So what is the number of muffins at the break even? It is 250 muffins. Or the question can say, what is the amount at the break-even point? And then when it says what is the amount, you look at the point where the two graphs are touching. The amount is right above 1,200. It's between 1,200 and 1,300, which is 1,250. Girls and boys, unfortunately, because of time, we are not able to complete all the exercises that I've prepared, but I hope the little that I've shared with you today will be enough to assist you in tomorrow's exam paper. Remember, you have worked so hard for this moment. From the moment you started schooling in your grade R, in your grade 1, everything that you were doing was to prepare for this big moment, for your matric final examination. I wish you all the best for tomorrow's paper. I know you are going to give it your best. Your teachers are rooting for you. We are rooting for you. We love you. We wish you all the best. And we are hoping to see you guys again, same time, same place, as we are preparing for the paper 2 final exam that you will be writing on Monday. Remember, tomorrow, have your functional calculator, your blue pen, an extra pen, your pencil, and your ruler. And all the best. I will see you tomorrow again, same time, same place. Bye-bye.